what IIDE is all about.
Poor performance in telecalling led to an idea which led to IIDE.
One most important skill that I should know if I'm doing digital marketing, what would that be?
Math. Most of my students are now getting hired for making Instamart ads, Zepto ads, Blinkit ads. You come to IIDE because you want to work for YPod, WPP, IPG, Publicis, Omnicom, Dentsu. In 2016, we were 35 crore online Indians. Right now, we're around 100 crore online Indians.
Wow.
In just 8 years, we've moved 3x on it.
How do you deal with AI? Is it a curse or a boon?
It's a catalyst, a niche, real followers and not purchased followers. These two are prerequisites to be considered as an influencer. Younger people are really facing anxiety.
How do you combat this problem of like Instagram addiction or comparing yourself to other people online and things like that? What do you see digital marketing in 2025 to be?
I think everyone's going to focus on
Everyone, welcome to another episode of Aleena Dissects. Happy New Year to all of you. Today we're shooting the first episode of the year. I'm very excited because when I started Social Media Dissect, my company, when we had 10,000 followers, Karan Shah from IIDE invited me to give a speech to his students at his digital education company to talk about social media. And that gave me a lot of validation back then. Since then, I've been a huge fan of his work and what he's done. He runs this company called Indian Institute of Digital Education, and he teaches multiple thousand students about digital and everything to do with online media and business. I'm going to talk to him today about his journey, about how he started, how it's become such a big education platform today, and I hope that you find it as interesting as I do. Please welcome Karan Shah. Okay, hi Karan. First of all, thank you so much for being on Aleena Dissect.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Long
Aleena.
time pending. I've been wanting to do this since the day I started the podcast. I've been like, Karan has to come because there's so much knowledge that you have that would be so great for our audience.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for having me here.
I'm glad. So, Karan, I'm going to start with the most interesting fact about the beginning of your career, which is that you started from telecalling. And then you went to I want to understand how you went to, IID and what IID is all about.
So, telecalling was my first internship,
Okay.
which became a job. And this was when I was in college. And so my job was to call 200 people in a day and tell them, hey, would you like to invest in the stock markets?
Okay.
And everybody said no.
Okay.
So basically, we had targets, and I failed to hit the target in the first month. And I failed to hit the target in the second month. And every day I would call 200 people. And back then there were no cell phones. So I used to call from a landline to a random database.
Okay.
And just tell them, hey, I don't even know the first name. Anyway, so I did not hit my target. So I got a warning letter from my boss saying, if you don't hit your target next month, you're fired. And that was the lowest low of my life at age 18. So I went home crying and I told my mom and dad, it's just a build up, I'm getting to the story. I went and told my mom and dad that I'm not going to this company. And my dad said, if you don't go back to this company, you're not allowed to go home.
Okay.
Don't come home.
Okay.
So he said, you're not allowed to get fired. Find a solution to make this happen.
Okay.
And poor performance in telecalling led to an idea which led to IIDE. Okay, so which most people don't know, which is that I decided that instead of telecalling people and getting people to invest in the stock markets, I'm talking about back in 2011, I decided that I am going to convince a set of my college friends to come for a 2-day workshop in my office and learn about stock markets.
Okay.
Okay, and whoever came, by the first 4 months, I had 481 people who came to my office, to the company I was working at. And my branch manager taught them stock markets over there. And everybody who learned stock markets ended up opening a demat account at the company I was working at.
Okay.
And that was the first time I got introduced to workshops and education as a model. I learned that people are willing to pay for practical education. I learned that people are willing to invest time in practical education. And that's how I got introduced to the education industry.
Right.
By failing my telecalling job And so yeah, that's how I got introduced to the industry. Very soon after that, I did an internship in digital marketing, and I quit that internship, which was at my sister's company called Kinnect, and I just decided that I will teach people social media. So I went back to all the people who learned stock markets from me that time, and I said, "Hey guys, do you all want to learn social media marketing this time?" In 6 months, I had 500 students who signed up,
Okay.
and all of them ended up learning social media. And that's how my entry into the education industry happened back in 2011 and 12.
Okay, did you know that social media has a need for people to like learn? How did you understand that?
Well, I was on Facebook that time. Everyone was on Facebook that time. There wasn't any Instagram. And it was really trending because all of us were spending so much time on it. And brands were investing on social media. So it was not as popular as stock markets. But I could predict that people are spending so much time on Facebook and Orkut, if you
Yes,
remember,
yes.
that time, that I thought that, hey, people need to learn this. Marketing is going to happen from this. So I said, let's try. I was one of the first few people in the city of Mumbai to offer a social media marketing workshop. So didn't know the scope of it, but kept trying and kept winning in small ways. And slowly and steady, everything began.
Okay, right. And I think in India you must be one of the first because that's when it started and nobody was teaching. We were all self-learning it.
Right.
Where did you learn from? And also when you're trying to teach somebody something, it has to also be in a particular standardized way, which
Sure.
at that point it wasn't. How did you figure that out?
So basically, I was doing a sales job at my sister's company called Social Connect that
Yes.
time, now called FCB Connect. And when you're selling a product, you need to learn everything about that product. So
Right.
I was selling Facebook ads to clients that time, and I had multiple clients that time. So when I was selling Facebook ads, it was my job to go learn Facebook ads. So I learned it on YouTube, I learned it on Udemy that time, I learned it through my sister, and I just learned bits and pieces of it. And I actually ended up making some ads as well. We were a very small company. Not only was I selling Facebook ads to clients, but I was also executing them. I learned it. The company started growing really fast. So we grew from like 4 employees to maybe 20 employees in some time. And my job was not only selling, but also teaching some of the new interns and employees how to run Facebook ads.
Okay.
So when I started teaching some of the onboarded new employees, one of them said, dude, you teach well. Why don't you go, teach somewhere else? And that's where it struck me. Oh, I can actually also teach social media to all the people who learn stock markets from me. Why don't I try it? So the way I was trying to teach my employees, the new employees of the company, was the very similar structured manner I tried doing it for some
Okay.
students, and that's how it happened.
It worked.
It just worked.
Okay.
It just worked.
And do you have all age groups at that time sign up or were there students who are looking at like
That time, there were younger people. No, there weren't all age groups. There were people between 18 and 22 that time. I was catering
Correct.
to a much younger audience that time,
correct?
to a far more Facebook friendly audience,
Okay.
which were younger people.
What did the students initially gain out of the course that you thought this is something that's working on after the course has ended?
They gained a simple skill, Facebook ads.
Okay.
How do you get likes on your Facebook page was
Okay.
the only thing that people learned back in the days.
That's what they were looking for also.
Yeah, so
But did they get like professionally, employed after taking the course?
of
at
course,
That point?
you need to understand that absolutely no one knew how to make a Facebook ad that time. And literally, it was booming in demand by the day. So if you knew that skill, you were going to get an internship or a job instantly. I mean,
Right.
it still exists, but that time it was far more in demand. So all the people who learned that skill that time got a job that time. But today, if you look at them, they're at leading positions as VPs and CXOs of companies, and that's where they are today. So
Oh, wow.
so learning that skill early has helped them to be somewhere in their mid-30s today.
Right. Okay, Karan, talking about like today, I want to ask you that the first question that anybody has about digital marketing as a course is that when there are so many free courses that are available online, why do they need to sign up to something like an IID?
Because IIDE is not only a place for learning. theoretical learning. IID is a cultural hub. IID is a networking hub. IID is an opportunity hub. You come to IIDA for structured learning.
Yes.
Which means if you go to YouTube, you don't know which video to start off, which video to end. When you come to IID, we take you through, like, it's like a movie. You start from here, you end here. During this movie, during this 11-month or 1-year program, you are now meeting different sets of people every week. So now we have, Starbucks chief marketing officer coming and talking to you. Next week we have HDFC Bank CMO coming and talking to you. We have the HR of Netflix coming in. We have the VP marketing of Indigo coming in, Indigo Airlines. So IID is a place where structured learning is offered, where you have peers who have come from a like-minded socio-economic background, who are strong aspirants, career aspirants in digital marketing. So you have a network of your learners. You also have a network of really high quality industry professionals who IID is able to attract rather, because of its past. And that's why you come to IID. And when all of this happens, you also end up getting the right opportunities to work at. So you come to IID because you want to work for YPod. YPod is WPP, IPG, Publicis, Omnicom, Dentsu.
Yes.
The 5 companies which own advertising in the world, right? Because we focus on them, we attract talent from there, we attract professors from there. So you come to IID for holistic learning. That's why you come to IID.
Right. Now, I have to tell you my experience. Over the years, if anybody's ever asked me where should we do a course from, I tell them you have to go to
Yay.
IID. For all of these reasons, because I'm like, you can go to like YouTube and learn. And I'm a very big, advocate of that. Go and learn from there. But a structured learning helps you to get better at your work. Because then you're learning. But I think IID sets it apart because you're also applying what you learned, right? You can't do a Facebook ad. I feel like if you don't run it, you won't know how to actually use it. So that's why I recommend it to and also I hire a lot of our professionals in the industry. We hire from IID because we know that they know a set way to work.
Yeah.
And I have to mention, every time I get a CV from there is a campaign and a document that they've already worked on for a brand. And that for me is very important to open and see. Because then I don't need to give them an assignment. I don't have to externally go and do, because they've already done an assignment for me and come.
Exactly.
So that stands out for me.
Thank you. I'm glad.
Okay. But you spoke about Chandni, your sister, who runs Kinnect. I'm a big fan of hers, also been following her journey. How come you didn't join hands with her when she was doing so great also?
Look, when the company began, it was a bedroom startup. Okay, it was my brother-in-law, my sister, my sister's best friend, me, one of my college friends. That's about it. So no one knew it would get this far. And more than anything, my father, I remember this day, my father is a very strict man. And he said that I don't want my children to be in the same business.
Okay.
I don't want you guys to ever, even be doing the same thing. So today is the day you decide to have different career paths.
Okay.
You can have complementary career paths, but you all will not be in the same business together. And that's about it. I think that there was merit. I've seen many families have fights over business in the future.
That's true.
But back then we never thought about fights. We just said, this is the rule set by dad. Let's go do it. And boom. I'm glad that happened,
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me, what is the biggest pain point that a student has when they're learning digital marketing?
Well, I think that digital marketing, in my opinion, I call digital marketing statistical marketing.
Okay.
When I teach digital marketing, I don't teach digital marketing, I teach math.
Okay.
I am extremely math oriented, and for me, digital marketing is math.
Tell us how. I have to know.
Okay, so I was just shooting something yesterday. I'm going to copy the script for it for the next 10 seconds. So I'm going to ask you a question, okay? Reverse roles for a minute.
Okay.
And this is what I was shooting yesterday. This is a green color ad, and this is a pink color ad. The green color ad got 50 clicks.
Okay.
The pink color ad got 20 clicks. Which ad is better?
It depends on more than just the clicks, or the evaluation is only the clicks.
I don't know. You tell me. Which one's better?
I mean, if you look at the number of clicks, obviously the pink one is better.
The green one. The green one got 50 clicks.
Green one.
Yeah,
I
and the
got
pink.
50.
Yeah, and the pink one got 20.
So then green,
Yeah,
statistically.
most people would say green. That's an incorrect answer, right?
Correct.
Because typically it got 50 clicks from 5,000 views.
Okay.
So it
Yeah,
basically got
metric.
1 click in every 100 views. This ad got 20 clicks in 1,000 views. So it got
Better.
2 clicks in every 100 views. So it's math, basic math, right? So I teach my students to stop thinking about digital marketing from, hey, this looks good or this doesn't look good. You know, digital marketing has to be math oriented.
Okay.
And what we really teach our students is to define or to know the logo of digital marketing.
Okay.
For us, the logo of digital marketing is the percentage symbol.
Okay.
Percent per 100 out of every 100. So I keep teaching my students, and all of us at IIDE keep teaching our students, that our students need to learn how to evaluate for every 100 inquiries you got from search, how many converted. For every 100 inquiries you got from social, how many converted, right? And students find math difficult. So coming down to what you asked me, this is what students don't understand. Everybody's like, yo, I can make a Facebook ad, you know, or hey, I can make a Google ad. But to be able to analyze what's working, where to invest mathematically is what I think that students find difficult in digital marketing.
But tell me, where does creativity stand here? How do you balance the math with like out of the box campaigns with creativity?
I'm saying creativity is a must, and there is absolutely no alternative to creativity. If you are creative, you will end up scoring better in out of every 100. Like if your ad campaign is beautiful, you will do 5 clicks in every 100 views. If you are super creative, you'll do 10 clicks in every 100 views. So creativity is a must. But after the job of the creative people, the next job is to analyze how effective the creativity was, because that's what a digital marketing analyst really needs to focus on.
Right. I say the same thing. Like, unless you look at the numbers and the back end, you won't know where to go. Like,
Yeah.
you just be creating, but
Yeah.
then you won't know what is the path to go forward if you don't have like proper results, which I think a lot of people miss out. They don't look at analytics as closely as they should.
Exactly.
Again, that's the education part that changes it.
Yeah.
But how do you deal with AI? Is it a curse or a boon when you're talking about education in this space?
It's a catalyst. I think that AI has really made life so much better for digital marketers that digital marketers love it. For example, I mean, one of my students is making ads for makemytrip.com. Okay, so I was just talking to him recently, and he's like, sir, do you know how many ads we needed to write manually previously?
Yes.
Right? Like, you know, flights from Mumbai to this thing. Like, just put it on AI, give them combinations of from cities to cities,
Yeah.
what words to write, and boom, Chat GPT is gonna give you 100 versions of it. I want to write an email. You know, I one of my student works on this brand called Practo. So if you want to, send emails out, just make the make the email copy on Chat GPT and just boost,
Right.
So I think AI has allowed everyone to do more, and that allows that at the same cost, or at the same time spent, I'm able to deliver more. So my students are able to take more projects. They are able to acquire more brands, acquire more clients in the same time, allowing the smarter digital marketers to get better compensation because they do better quality work for more quantity of work as well. So if you're a real digital marketer, AI is now a catalyst for you to do more quality and quantity.
That's true. But if you look at the other side of it, it's also replacing jobs in the sense that if I can get the AI to do a person's job, right? As somebody who's running the business, I would rather use AI than hire a person. Have you noticed that happening?
No, not so much as
Okay.
such. I think that, there could be. Not
So we hire people who understand how to use AI to make their work more effective.
Sure.
That's what they need to learn to do.
Sure. So I think it's always going to be, every industry is always going to have survival of the fittest. And here, the fittest is people who know AI. And that's why having good digital marketing knowledge will win for you. So, because I take pride in what my students know, I'm not facing that as of today. But I'm
Got
pretty
it.
certain that someone who's claiming that I know how to make a Facebook ad is out because they don't know it that well now.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me some of your biggest like student successes.
My first student.
You hired him, right? I think you said that.
I've hired many.
Okay.
I've hired many of my students work for IIDE for the last 9-10 years now. But one of my first students from my first batch ended up becoming the right hand to the CEO of FCB Kinnect.
Wow.
Joined as an intern and then ended up becoming the right hand. And I remember my brother-in-law, who's the CEO of a large company, Kinnect, saying, if I were to give the CEO position to someone, it would be him.
Wow.
And I hope that student watches this podcast. His name is Kautuk.
Okay.
So for me, these are success stories, and success stories for everyone is different. Like, I've had a rickshaw driver's daughter,
Okay.
again from my second batch, annual income 30,000 rupees per month, 30,000 monthly income 30,000 rupees, and her first job, she got a job in Hyderabad, and that was a starting salary of 50,000 rupees per month.
Wow.
And I remember that uncle came, and the way the parents greeted me, I just went home and slept well,
Yeah.
saying, I think I just added 2x the
Value.
family income to them, and this is just the start, right? So like that, like today, one of my students is managing Beardo, the brand. One of my students is managing Garnier. So I have like students who are
Yeah.
managing all these brands today, and it's so cool to see their work. One of my students is managing Tata AIA life insurance. So like these are the success stories. For some, it's financial growth. For some, it's quality of work. For some, it's designation or the place they've reached. And I think because now we're reaching 10 years, IID is reaching 10 years, now is the time when IID students will be there.
Yeah, of course.
Because it takes 10 years, anything takes a decade. So I'm hoping that the next decade, all my kids are CEOs and CXOs of companies, because that's when I'm going to be like, yeah.
What is it personally that makes you the most happy from what you've done?
This.
Okay.
This.
The results that the students are
The
getting.
results. And it's not always money or success or something like that. The most important thing that I have felt is this one line that most students come and tell me, sir, I couldn't talk before IID. Now I can talk.
Okay.
I can stand and I can deliver a presentation. I can shake a hand with someone. I know when I meet someone, and if I don't know how to approach them, it starts with a smile. So I often say this, that IID, sounds like it's for digital marketing, but IID is personal growth, right? And converting those students of mine who couldn't speak or were in a shell to today, who are confident, and the way they go in the market and the way they talk about themselves to others, for me, seeing that transition is really the victory point. That's it.
How do you train these students for these soft skills?
Okay, my students will say, sir, IID is a presentation arena. Okay.
Oh, because you put them in that uncomfortable
Every
position.
15 hours.
Okay.
Every 15 to 20 hours, you will have a presentation which you have to make a PPT, you have to come, you have to address 40, 50 people. There's a jury member sitting inside who's giving you marks, who's assessing you.
Okay.
And imagine if in a 600-hour program, if every 15 to 20 hours you are put down into make a PPT, come tomorrow morning, be dressed, talk again, slowly, over 15, 20 such sessions, you will realize that, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to do it. And that's something which actually happened to me when I was at Harvard, which were the number of presentations which I was giving over there.
Okay.
And I brought that back to India, and I felt like that really helped me become a better communicator, which eventually is a very important skill.
Right. I was going to ask you actually what part about Harvard do you take to your skill now, but you answered that. But is that why you're naturally more confident, or is something that is inbuilt?
For me,
Yeah.
look, I mean, I have been a person who's delivering sessions at colleges and schools and universities since 2011 now. So, I just think that when you invest 10,000 hours, and that Malcolm Gladwell says this in his book, where if you invest 10,000 hours into
In any
anything,
skill.
that skill is something you're proficient at.
Right.
So for me, over the last 13 years, I've genuinely actually delivered 10,000 hours of probably, seminars and sessions and speeches in front of lakhs of audiences. So I think today I've reached some level of proficiency in that skill, and that's the reason of why the confidence. But I wasn't like this on day one. I was very scared and very nervous, and it's just continuously doing the same thing again and again and not giving up. That's
Right.
that's the answer.
That happens to me also. People tell me, how do you go up on stage and are confident? I'm like, no, internally I'm dying. But I've just like done this so many times, so it's gotten a little better. Which is why I was
Exactly.
surprised when you said like you're nervous before the show. I was like, you do this daily.
No,
Like you talk to thousands of people.
Being nervous is good, right? Because
Yeah.
that's when you're observing and learning everything, and then your real charm will come out. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But about IID as a program, you have a lot of different services also that I've seen, like a lot of different courses,
Yeah.
different products. Can you tell us more about that? If somebody's looking at just starting out, is there something for somebody who has been in the industry and wants to learn some more?
So I'll structure it very easily for you. IIDE has 3 levels of programs. One is at the age of 18, it's called a bachelor's program. You can go to most top commerce colleges in Mumbai, and you can sign up for a 3-year degree program, which is called a bachelor's in digital business. And that's a 3-year degree program where all the training, all the assessment, all the professors, everything is actually, we are knowledge partners to colleges for that.
So you sign up in a college for that course?
Yeah,
Not
because you
in-
get a degree from Mumbai University
Oh, right.
or from any other university if you're outside of Mumbai.
Okay.
So, that's the bachelor's level program. Then we have a post graduation program. This is for people who really want to make a super serious career in digital marketing. You can come to my Mumbai campus or my Delhi campus, and here you'll sign up for like a year-long post-graduation program in digital marketing. This is an intense program only for serious career aspirants in digital marketing, and who are people who are entering into the 0 to 3 years of phase into digital marketing. And then we have online certifications. These are like 6-month long online programs. And this is for 24 to 35 years of age group, people who are switching from sales to marketing, business development to adding digital marketing, business owners, housewives, just people who want to learn digital marketing in general. So,
Okay.
bachelor's, post-graduation, online upskilling certification. 3 levels of programs at IIDE.
Nice. But Karan, this space changes very fast.
Yeah.
How do you get a course to update so quickly to be efficient for the students?
2 things. One is we're collecting feedback. As I said, every 15 hours you deliver a presentation. You don't get to see the marks of your presentation. The learners don't get to see their own assignment scores till they don't deliver feedback to 2 things: how the professor was and how the content of the program was.
Okay.
So we're rigorously, looking at student feedback, and we have really large dashboards which point out, is the metric falling? Is the metric improving? And then second, we have a really large dedicated team, which is called the team of academics,
Okay.
which is continuously creating written content, learning content, presentation content, video content, assessment content, MCQ content. It's a really large dedicated team, because if we want to be the best, we need to be investing in that every day. So these 2 things is something which we're continuously focusing on. Like, we will upgrade our curriculum practically every year.
Correct. You would have to, because the industry changes so fast. Something
Yeah.
that was relevant like 1 year ago is going to be changing today.
Absolutely.
I mean, if, for example, if you had Reels come in as a product that Instagram has, which is a huge part of digital marketing, you would have to change up everything in your course, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
to fit the, how do you do a reel, how do you perform on it, and
Absolutely.
statistics on it also.
Absolutely. Like, we have Quora, we have Reddit.
Correct.
Like, we're to teach everything, because it's changing every now and then. Like TikTok was there, TikTok ain't there anymore, you know?
Right.
So we gotta keep adding, removing content and keep changing things here and there. Like influencer marketing was big, still probably big. But right now everyone's focusing on retention marketing. So we gotta keep changing what we're doing and keep adding programs for it.
Okay. If you had to tell me there's one most important skill that I should know if I'm doing digital marketing, what would that be?
Math.
I'm gonna be struggling. I've struggled with it, to be honest.
No, you don't need to struggle with it. It's very simple.
No, but it is a part of business and it's a part of digital, to be
Yeah,
very honest. Like you
yeah.
can't go without looking at your analytics, without your numbers and all. But you're saying that's the most important.
To me, because I come from that kind of a thought process. But to be very honest, if you go to my creative professors, they'll be like,
What would they say?
They would be like, yo, the messaging, the communication, the
Yes, that's
character, the set, the
Me.
production, that's the most important, right? And then I'm starting in the back saying, do everything, then I'll analyze how it performed,
I think it has to be a balance.
Yeah, it has to be a balance.
Otherwise, it won't work. Like you can't be just looking at math. I feel like if you're not creative, and if you're like your soft skills and hard skills are equally important, especially in digital. But I think something that you've done very well since the beginning, from what I analyze of the career and of our talk, is also looking at like you're able to predict very well where the industry is going, where the students are going, what is going to happen next, and that for a business is very important.
I mean, you got to keep evolving.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
evolving.
every business has to keep evolving.
Yeah, because I think it's a very strategically great decision to say tie up with universities. How did they respond to you going to them and being like, this is what you need?
So, like colleges and universities, I used to go to colleges to teach digital marketing in 2011, 12, 13. So all the principals used to look at me like, he's some
Boy.
digital kid who's come over here. Now fast forward, move from 2011, 2020, I go back to them again. And that time I'm looking different. Now they all have heard about me. And they're like, okay, what do you have to offer?
Right.
And I'm like, look, everyone's hiring. This is a program. I can get you awesome salaries for your students. And that opens their eyes. Every college and university wants to focus on which skill is going to pay my students the most. Which skill is going to improve my enrollments. Like which topic is going to improve my college enrollments. Which topic is going to get my college to have higher placements. Right. And today, they know that, forget me, they know that the buzzword is digital. Right. So they are also seeking those kind of people who can help them get quality students in. Can improve their number of enrollments, and at the same time they can get really quality salaries for them. Right. So for them, they are also on the lookout for these kind of things. So nobody cared about this in 2012 and 13.
It's very now that they look at it and be like, okay, it's important.
And then when they analyze their own college skill set or own professor skill set, they realize that no, we probably don't possess so much of it. Right. That we don't have these kind of professors, or we don't have these kind of placement opportunities. And that's when they think it's relevant to invite Karan or have him on board as someone who can be a catalyst for them.
Okay, and what do you think is like the future of this? Because we're looking at so much of evolution in the digital space. Do you like maybe open more centers, have more students? What's the goal looking like?
Look, IIDE is a school which is not as aspirational for more number of students or more centers. For us, we have taken the path of being super quality. Okay. So for us, we want to go towards, can we get the sharpest 1% marketing minds into our programs and then work on them and have an output with them? There are many people who are trying to train everybody. And that's awesome. And we do that through our free courses. But we're saying for our paid programs, we want to be able to enroll the top 1% students who want to make a super serious career in this. And we want to get those students in, right? For our paid programs, we have so much free, which is for everyone who wants to try and do something new. But that's one of our missions. We want to be able to get the best students in. And that is our core mission. Bring the best in, do the best work with them, deliver the best output. That's our stance.
Right.
That's our stance.
Have you ever had a case where a student has not been happy with the course?
Definitely.
And what do you say to that?
I'll be very honest. I think you you gotta have haters for having lovers.
Right.
No, but IID, for its programs, for different sets of programs, we have an average defection rate of 3%,
Okay.
which means 3 in every 100 learners are not as happy.
Okay.
Right? So it's something I know of and I speak very loudly of. And what we keep trying to do is we keep analyzing why those 3 were not happy, and then we try changing the admission criteria to drop that rate. Like we drop that from 5% to 4%, from 4% to 3%, and we're trying to alter it at an admission level, saying, hey, we got this case, we understand the traits of this person or the demands of this person. Now we're going to go back, because generally the problem happens at the end of the program, not at the
Right.
start of the program. So we go take that feedback and then we go alter it at the start of the program, saying, can we tighten up the admission guidelines? Can we tighten up the criteria? Can we be very clear about the outputs of the program?
Okay.
And we keep improving that at the admission level to ensure that at the end we're able to reduce the defection rate from 5% to 1%. We're down from 5 to 4, 4 to 3, and that's happened over 5 years. It's not an overnight process, right? Because we're doing thousands of students.
So you have a criteria of people coming on board? You don't take up anybody and everybody?
Not at all.
Okay.
Like for a post-graduation program, you need to do a entrance exam.
Oh, there's an entrance exam.
Yeah,
didn't
which
know.
is quite difficult, right?
Okay.
Right? So we have an entrance exam, we have a one-on-one interview. If you don't like your interview, we have a parent-student interview.
Oh,
Then we have something known as a preparatory program, and after that, you're in the program.
okay.
So it's a proper funnel of us trying to funnel. As I told you, look, my offline infrastructure can accommodate X number of students. So I want to ensure that those X number of students are those students.
Right.
Yeah.
And have you ever got cases where they've said the course is maybe too expensive?
Of course.
How do you justify it?
Well, firstly, for students who are serious career aspirants and we think that they're really worthwhile, I am happy to offer a full scholarship or whatever scholarship is coming to them. Because, as I told you, our intent is, look, we have enough students coming and we have enough students paying us fees. So now we got to ensure that if a learner can't do it, we have to offer the right kind of scholarships, because we believe in having the right student in class. That's the fundamental law. But if we know that there is someone who can afford it and is asking, and is just telling me it's expensive, then there's only one cross question to them, which is expensive in comparison to fill in the blank,
Okay.
right? Let that person actually come back and tell me what do you think is it expensive in comparison to? You think it's expensive in comparison to what? And when they start talking and when they start naming what they're comparing our programs to, it ends there.
Okay.
It just ends there.
Yeah. Because you get to see the value of it.
You get to see the value. Then I'll show you, look what my professors are. Look what my infrastructure is. Look what my placements are. Look what the cultural opportunities. Look what the fests that are over here. Look at the other students who come over here, right? Look at the networking opportunities over here. And when they add 2 plus 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 2, then they'll be like, hey, maybe this is not as expensive. This is probably cheap, Let's go here.
Because they look at the results that they are going to be getting from doing the course. Okay.
Exactly.
Are you looking at adding more courses to the programs?
To be very honest, we're finishing 10 years very soon, and our niche has been digital marketing. Whereas our bachelor's programs are not about digital marketing, they're about digital business.
Okay.
So IIDE is expanding from digital marketing, and marketing is one of the words which is still there, but the word will focus towards the word digital now. So
Okay.
we're expanding the universe of digital business, and under that there are multiple skill sets. Over the next 10 years, you're going to see us grow as a business school for digital, for all
So
subjects.
if I'm looking at running a business online, that's what also I would get to learn
Yes.
if I sign up.
Yes.
And you think that's obviously a need for students to know how to do that?
Absolutely. I think that the number of traditional businesses in India are far too many than the number of digital businesses in India.
Right.
What's spoken about on the internet is the D2C or the creator.
That's it's less compared to like if you look at all over India.
But if you look at 99% of businesses are still traditional in India, right? It's under 1% of them have transformed digitally. So our goal is that India will move in this direction. There's no doubt about it. There's nothing that we can stop it from. Our job is to be a catalyst, provide the right talent to be able to transform traditional businesses to digital. And a business has every vertical. It has HR, it has finance, it has marketing, it has sales. We're going to be everywhere. But
Okay.
we will have our niche, which is digital.
Got it. And what is it about educating somebody that keeps you going for so many years? You're talking about last 10 and then the next 10 in the education space only.
I really feel that there is something that makes me very happy about converting a student from not knowing what they are to really being confident and making an impact in the world. And that really gives me far more inner joy than anything else. So for me, I have learned that this is absolute inner joy, and I think that because I've learned it, I don't get distracted. Like it's just like I'm zoned in. I'm zoned into this, to be very honest. Yeah.
Okay, tell me, have you ever failed at something that you have launched at IID?
Yeah. Well, we launched a school of code. Okay.
Okay.
Where we were teaching people HTML, CSS, JavaScript, front end coding, back end coding. I'm not sure if we failed or was it the external environment that time. It was the year 2019 where we launched it, and we did acquire 100 students in it. And to be very honest, it was very expensive to get the right teachers for it, to advertise that program and bring in students for it, and to prepare infrastructure for it. It was literally going cost to cost, which was getting difficult for us. And then COVID hit us.
Yeah.
And when COVID hit us, we literally got no enrollments for some time for that. And that time I had to make a real decision as to where should I put all my concentration, on something new, or should I put my concentration on what I'm really known for, which was the digital marketing piece, digital marketing program and coding program. And at that point, I'm not sure if I call it a failure, and it is a failure. And I'm not sure if IID failed or the world failed us at that moment, or my concentration limits, my personal bandwidth failed. But that was the day that I had to say, sorry guys, this ain't happening anymore. We just finished serving all the students who are enrolled, and we said, look, we'll come back to this later.
I think that's very important in any business to have that, so you understand. Unless you experiment, you wouldn't know what is working and what is not. But I'm assuming that things like coding or like AI are they not part of your courses? Do they have to be separate courses in itself?
They're so extensive that AI can be a part of every course. But like coding is extremely extensive. You can do like a 3-year program on computer science.
Right.
Like engineering students have a 4-year program on computer science. So it's very extensive. It can't be a part of our programs. It's very small chunks of it are like, hey, introductory to computer science is in like a bachelor's program. But if you have to do it full-fledged, then it would take a lot more time investment.
Right. Has this been the most difficult decision at IID, or tell me one more where you had to make a really tough call?
Putting me on the spot. I think decisions are tough every year. For me, every year when I imagine, so this is how it works, I'll be very honest to you. For me, my financial year ends in October. Okay. Admissions are generally done between April to September. That's when most students enroll for programs. So for me, everything that I have dreamt of is done. October to March is when we are now projecting what's going to happen next year. Which programs, if geography is in case, if any, how do we get better quality students? What's the advertising? How many number of students? What's going to be our rejection rate for admissions? Every year, October 1st is like, shit. So, look, we've managed to grow for the first 5 years at 300%, for the next few years at 200%, and then at 50%, because of course we've grown to a scale. So every year when, like in the first few years, when we would imagine that 100 will become 300 and 300 will become 900, we've hit it. But when we've imagined it, we're like, how
Yeah.
is this going to happen? You know? And at October, we're like, dude, we just did it.
Did it, yeah.
Yeah. So every year has been a tough year. And each tough vision has tough decisions in terms of manpower, infrastructure. You know, when we got our IIDE campus, it was a 25,000 square foot campus that we got. And the rent for it, oh God, right? And we were like, dude, we don't even need more than 2,000 square feet. And today
It's packed, right?
it's small for us.
Yeah.
It's small for us. So when I got my parents to look at the campus, they're like, "Are you serious? You wanna take this? Do you even have the money for it?" I said, "I like it, and I vibe with it. I feel confident over here. I'm gonna do it." And that day, and then in under 5 years, we were out, and we're like out of space, and we're like, how do we go ahead now? So really tough decisions like these have been there at all stages. Even today when I'm sitting here, there's a tough decision which I have to make now, and it's always there. So,
I think in business you need to be that courageous. Like
Yeah.
you need to be like, okay, I'm going to put in my time and effort and then really believe that it will happen. Like if you saw the space and you saw it full, you
Yeah.
imagined it already before. So it would have
Exactly.
had to happen.
yeah.
What do you see digital marketing in 2025 to be?
I think everyone's going to focus on is retention marketing. I said this at some point. I think that because of COVID, every organization's database sizes have become very large,
Okay.
which is that everybody has a lot of leads in their system, a lot of name, number, email IDs in their system. And the cost of doing email marketing, SMS marketing, and WhatsApp marketing is so significantly low in comparison to running Instagram ads, YouTube ads, and Google search ads. So I think organizations are going to really focus on extracting revenue from their database they've collected over the last 4 years first, rather than getting more databases to keep coming in.
Okay.
So in 2020, 2021, people were spending crazy on influencer marketing, on Instagram ads, on all of that stuff. It led to a surge of databases. Now people are like, how do we, because an email costs what? Under 1 paisa. An SMS costs 10 paisa. A WhatsApp costs 50 paisa, right? So it's very cheap. So the idea is, how do you really focus on customer retention marketing, and that's going to be, in my opinion, a skill which everyone's going to look for in 2025.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Interesting, because otherwise everybody would say influencer, would say AI and all, but I think from you we've got the right answer.
Yeah.
As organizations, what they would look at.
Yeah.
And customers, what do you think about like them? Where are they shifting in terms of digital? Are there platform changes? Are there user behavior changes?
Of course. And the Zepto is king. Zepto and
15-minute delivery.
yeah, like 10-minute delivery. And if you look at the news, it's like Swiggy launched a new app,
Yeah,
10-minute
so
delivery.
many.
Bolt is now there, 10-minute delivery. Swish, no, what's it called? I forgot. Something else again, 10-minute delivery. Professionals at 10-minute delivery. Like now you can get a yoga instructor in 10 minutes, right? You can now, like Swiggy just launched it just yesterday,
Okay.
right? You can get a therapist in 10 minutes. You can get something in 10 minutes.
Wow.
Right? So, if you ask me personally, I have been a big Amazon, Flipkart fan. Like, instead of going offline and shopping, I've been a believer of shopping online. I cannot see myself shopping on Flipkart and Amazon anymore. Okay?
Yeah.
For me, it's just quick commerce.
That's true.
So if you ask, and even if you look at it from from my students who are getting hired, most of my students are now getting hired for making Instamart ads, Zepto ads, and Blinkit ads.
Oh, wow.
Right? So most of my students are not anymore even, like, for them doing Instagram ads is like, huh?
Really?
Yeah. So when they come and show me, after 6 months of them joining a company, I say, kya kar raha hai?
Huh.
He'll be like, sir, I'm making Ashirvad Atta. All the Zepto ads of Ashirvad Atta are mine. Right? So they're selling atta, right? Which was Ashirwad Atta or any of these Atta brands would first come on TV.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Right.
Now the founders of those companies are saying, you know what, we'll come to TV in some time, but first ensure the Zepto ad is in place, or first ensure the Instamart ad is in place, because
Really?
consumer behavior has moved there, right? So that is something which is like quick commerce advertising has become the focus. Like for us, if we don't teach that, that's a very big part of my curriculum now.
Oh, really? I would never have known.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I think of it, I had for the shoot that I'm having literally after this, I was like, oh my god, I forgot something from home, piece of clothing, okay? And then I said, what am I gonna do? Where's the shop and all? I was like, maybe I can check out Zepto and Blinkit to see if they have it, and they did, and we
Yeah.
got it in 15 minutes.
Yeah,
I would have
exactly.
ideally had to go, get the car out, go to the store, find it, get it, but I got it in 15 minutes.
You know, I had to go for a barat, okay, and I forgot about it. It was an evening 4 o'clock barat. I went to office, I was in meetings, and I went to these quick commerce apps and they had Manyavar on it.
What?
Right? I could
They
buy a
do?
kurta for myself.
They do?
Which came, I wore jeans, shoes, I bought a narrow jacket, I bought a kurta in 10 minutes delivered,
Wow.
and boom, I was out.
Wow.
So I think consumer mindset and this is not in every country. This is India, and that's why I think that digital in India is exploding, and I
That's
don't know
true.
how what's gonna happen next. But this
Yeah.
is consumer mindset change. You know
Okay, but Karan, tell me, is it a good thing or a bad thing
what
that
this?
you're getting everything so quickly at the tip of your fingers? I mean, I can see the advantages,
Yeah.
but do you see the flaws?
Yeah, I mean, what are the flaws in
I'll
your-
tell you. For
Yeah.
example, I read a lot and I study a lot on like human behavior through the years. And back in the day, when there was not all of this, we used the human mind to be able to deconstruct a lot of things. For example, making that effort to choose, decide, go, and do something would have a positive impact on the brain.
Certainly.
Today, we're scrolling reels, doom scrolling, brain rot, and all of this is happening because we're getting everything so quickly. So, and when you look at Gen Z or the younger generation, patience levels, things like, understanding things, being able to comprehend things is much lesser than the people before.
Sure.
Because they're doing everything so much faster.
I really
And
think
quickly.
I really think that you're right, and I just want to comment on like time spent on Instagram. I think that younger people are really facing anxiety
Exactly.
because like I have seen people wake up to Instagram, sleep to Instagram. People are eating lunch.
Yeah.
Like my colleagues while eating lunch, it's like the habit is formed that one hand is a spoon and the other hand is with a stand the phone is, and the
Yes.
other hand is doing this is the new habit. And to me, that's continuous consumption of what a fake world is over
Yeah.
there, because everybody who's posting content on Instagram is marketing,
Correct.
is marketing themselves, is marketing their life, is marketing who they look like. It's just continuous marketing, and it's creating FOMO because everyone's like, oh, that's how he's wearing. Oh, he went there last night.
Right.
Oh, look what she's wearing. Oh, she's with him. Oh, they're at this cafe. Oh, this new thing launched and 5 people got invited, but I wasn't there. And I think that this is creating serious anxiety.
Yeah.
So I really believe, because I'm seeing that in my students. So while I think that things like Zepto and all are really improving quality of life, because I think that quick delivery is awesome, and it works in my favor, and I'm able to do something else which is more
Correct.
productive than wasting fuel and going out. Because it's saving environment at certain levels, it's saving decongesting traffic at certain levels. So there are those pros, but I think the anxiety that it's creating and the quick response that everybody wants, and the quick growth that everybody
Correct.
wants. These influencers are showing how cool they are in under 1 year, right? So I think that quick growth that people are seeing is not what people are understanding. That growth is 10, 20, 30% a year
Correct.
for themselves as individuals. But if you aspire to grow 3,000-5,000% every year, you're gonna burst like a battery,
Right.
right? So I think that is something which is
How do you combat this problem of like Instagram addiction or comparing yourself to other people online and things like that?
for me or for my students?
For your students, what would you have to say? Like to the younger generation, because for example, like I have, like my team asked me, how do you keep yourself balanced, because you as somebody who's researching and finding the news that's online, you have to be online all the
Yeah.
time. And I'm like, no, I don't have to be, because that's how then you keep your
Yeah.
head leveled out, because
Yeah.
otherwise I'll just be deep dived into this, then not have a life, right? So I do certain things that keep me away from the phone, which I tell other people also to do, because we were taught like that. We were taught to do hard things,
Yeah.
so that we can do the hard thing is not keep the phone, look at it every single morning as soon as you wake up, right?
Yeah.
That's not there in a lot of the younger generation.
It's very tough, to be very honest. It's very tough to get them off it, because the first thing that they'll say is that, hey, I'm on Instagram because I'm researching. I'm on Instagram because I'm doing that. Or, hey,
Learning.
I'm on Inst-. And I'm like, ah. So it's very tough, but you need to know that, like even at IIDE, we, in the last couple of years, we've invested in a lot of counseling. We've invested in therapists. We've invested in doing sessions like that. We've invested in digital detox days.
Oh.
We've invested in and when I'm saying digital detox, it's like strict digital detox.
Oh, wow.
So we've really invested in some rules, policies, and around this. Like one of my student success directors is a great counselor, and she leads counseling for these people. So we've had to really up our game over there, because we've realized that students really need it. So
Right, because because I think that balance to understand is important.
absolutely.
Otherwise, they would get lost in it. Like I teach digital also, but then I will also teach that this is how you balance it out.
Yeah.
You can't be online all the time.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay, tell me, as somebody who's starting into digital today, what do you think their results could look like, or how much money they could potentially make in this career?
Depends on what kind of a career you're taking. If you're gonna work in an agency, I'll just ask you, if you want to make an agency, you want to be an influencer, or you want to work in a brand. I can give you 3 different options.
Okay, if I had to work in an agency, work as a, in the job of digital
Okay, so if you want to work in as a job in digital marketing, if you are not having great skills, and if you're working for like an average company, you can start at a salary scale of 20 to 25,000 bucks a month. If you are, really skilled, and if you are like aiming for the top 5 companies which I mentioned, WIPOD, you can start at 5 lakhs a month. Is the starting salary, 40 to 42,000 bucks a month. And in under 3 to 4 years, you can be at 10 lakhs. If you are in these top, like what IID focuses on, in 3 years, most of my students are at like 10 lakhs. And in roughly 10 years, most of my students are between 18 to 20 lakhs, right? Some of my formative students in the first 2-3 years are today at like 30 lakhs and above, because they were the first entrants into the market, but the market is getting a little crowded now. But at least I can assure you that in under 5 years, you'll be at the lakh rupee a month. So by the time you're 25, you're probably drawing a lakh a month if you're a decently good creative or / analytical marketer.
Interesting. And if I had to ask you for influencing,
Yeah.
as an influencer,
As an influencer, I think it's all about people who select a niche. I think the mathematical calculation for influencers is very set. And I think it's maturing as a formula now. And I think the formula is, if you have a niche, so the prerequisites are a niche. The second prerequisite is real followers and not purchased followers. So these 2 are prerequisites to be considered as an influencer.
okay.
Right? A niche and genuine followers, right? And then the third is your last 10 reels into 0.7.
I should also write this down.
So I think it's a very simple formula. So if your last 10 reels averaged at 1,000 views, and this is just a basic equation I'm giving you. If your last 10 reels averaged at 1,000 views, you can now charge 700 rupees per reel.
Okay.
So if your last reel had a lakh rupees, if your last 10 reels averaged at a lakh views, you can charge between 60 to 70,000 rupees per reel for a sponsored piece of content.
For everybody always asking me how much to charge as an influencer, this is the math that I was not able to give you.
So it's very simple, structured math. That's about it. Like that's just, it's maturing as an industry. So it's pretty much working at the same scale at what an Instagram ad would work at. So all the equations, as I said, because I'm very math oriented.
Yeah,
these
right,
are all,
I'm getting it.
These are all coming together now.
Got it, understood.
Yeah.
And tell me the other side of it. What do you think is the scope for educators in this industry?
Wow. I think that, to be very honest, like for IIDE, sometimes I wonder, we have so much knowledge to give to people, but we're only in Mumbai and Delhi, right? But if you look at it, we're a large country with one of the youngest populations in the world. So I'm not able to actually help someone in a tier 2 and tier 3 today, right?
Okay.
So I think that if you become an educator in this industry, if you understand that the landscape of digital marketing is India and not Mumbai and Delhi, you can be super fruitful. So if you are an educator, you can really, really, really do well in this industry. All you need to figure is your demographic, which is which audience are you going for? Are you going for 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 25-year-olds, or 35-year-olds? And then which geography are you targeting, right? So if you do a great combination of these, there are more than 1,000 sweet spots available in this right now.
Okay.
So someone who's entering this as an educator needs to first study the demographic and geographic sweet spot. And anyone who does a good job on that will make a fantastic career. There can be at least 100 more IIDEs out there.
Exactly, because they're not still catering to tier 2, tier 3, where right now it's booming and how everybody there also is constantly on their phone.
Exactly.
And the user base has now, from when we started, has become so much of that audience.
In 2016, we were 35 crore online Indians. Right now, we're around 100 crore online Indians.
Wow.
In just 8 years, we've moved 3x on it. So, yeah.
Correct. And they are now the target audiences.
Exactly.
So we have to cater to them also. Karan, tell me, what has been like your best or like standout type of students? What traits do they have?
I think curiosity is curiosity, discipline, empathy. I think these have been 3 things which really make some of my students golden talent, because when I come across a student who comes to class and asks me why instead of what, that student for me is gold standard, because they're asking me why this, why not that, why this and why not that. So curiosity, and then discipline is something which is just everyone in life. If you want to succeed, then you need to have some level of discipline. And the last is empathy, because I think that if you're too smart, or you're very good looking, or you're very rich, or any of that, you can have 2 sides. You can either be humble or arrogant. And if you're arrogant, the world will show you their arrogance in some time. So the people who actually understand, like in IID, we use a statement, janitor to CEO, peon to CEO. You should be able to be best friends with everyone, right? So if you're not able to do that, you will just not be there. So for me, these 3 skills are something that I really look at. I don't look at any hard skills. Do you know how to do math very well, or do you know how to create very well? That for me, you'll learn on the way. These are personality traits or personality things that I really am eyeing for.
That's so interesting, because I was going to ask you, how does empathy matter in like a digital marketing student?
It does.
But it does.
You need to talk. Sometime you'll interview your intern. Sometime you'll be reporting to your boss. Sometime you'll go to the washroom and you're meeting your peon. You're meeting your liftman. Your heart needs to beat for everyone, and you need to feel where they come from first. If you want to go ahead, you need to know them first.
Right. And also, I think as somebody who's like for digital, if you understand them and you're empathetic, your campaigns or your messaging becomes much more better, because you can understand your audience is much better.
Yeah.
Like if you don't understand what your audience wants or needs or how they feel, you won't be able to come up with a good campaign that touches their heart.
I know that's a much better answer, actually, from a digital marketing standpoint. I was saying it from a human standpoint, but
No, both the perspectives are important.
yeah, because I think that if you don't know your audience and you can't touch their heart and you can't feel what their pain is, then you can never communicate to them.
Right.
Period.
But I have to talk about the campaign that's going viral right now. LNT, the chairman said that why
Oh,
are
90
people,
hours.
Yeah, 90 hours. And he said, why would you sit at home on a Sunday? You should be working on a Sunday instead of looking at your wife. What would you do looking at your wife all day? What do you have to say to that?
I really think that you should be doing something for 90 hours. Okay. But work is an incorrect word. I think that you need to do something which is making you better personally, your work better, your family better, your love life better, your hobbies better. But dedicating time to becoming a better balanced individual is worth 90 hours a day and 90 hours a week. That would be the way I look at it.
That's a nice and different perspective
Yeah.
because we look at it as work and then not work,
Yeah.
and then balance it out with working hours accordingly.
No, I think like, hey, you gotta go play a sport on a Sunday. You gotta work out every morning, and I think balanced individuals will win. So dedicate
Yeah.
time. That's the way out, I think.
Right. I think I've asked you most of everything that I've had to. Is there something you want to ask me though?
Teach me podcasting.
Oh yeah, you have to tell me that you're also teaching podcasting at IIDE, right?
Right.
That's interesting.
So, I mean, we are teaching podcasting, and there are some people who run their own podcast who come to teach. But because I've been associated to you for a very long time, now I'm going to invite you to IID to come
I would
teach.
love to.
Yeah.
But what do you think is the scope of podcasting as a career?
I think that it is growing at some amazing speeds right now. I very often, like, it's so funny. So if you asked me, and I'll be very candid right now, if you asked me 3 years ago podcasting, I'd be like, who is listening to this? Right? But if you ask me today, podcasting, from juniors in my company, like interns in my company, to like my CXOs in my company will come and say, bro, did you hear that podcast last night? Did you hear what these guys were saying? And where did you hear it? On a podcast, right? So podcast was once upon a time considered as only sound.
Right.
In my opinion, it's not only sound, like audio material, right? Today, because of the format that it allows you to do, which is long form on YouTube shorts, Instagram stories, audio also output, the distribution that podcast it gives you is far larger than a video ad or a video script, and it's candid.
Right.
It's natural. It's not scripted. Right? So it's giving people authentic content. It's giving people content across 5 different formats because the distribution channels are so large. And hence, I think it's one of the single most rapidly growing formats today in the content arena of digital marketing.
Right. So you think there are as many listeners to the podcast that are launching in India?
There are as
every
many
day?
viewers and listeners because it's,
Right.
as I'm saying, the distribution channels are so many now, right, that I think that it's going crazy.
Okay, so you think there is a market and a scope for
Yeah.
new podcasters to come in all the time? Because now, from what I hear all the time, there's so many podcasts. If everybody's creating, who's listening?
No, I just think that for anyone, like my only thing is that for anyone who's creating a podcast, think distribution first. Like, are you distributing this content on WhatsApp? Are you distributing this content on Facebook? Are you distributing a piece of this content on LinkedIn? Are you distributing this content? Distribution of content, like Ranveer from Bare Biceps and Raj Chamani, who are kingmakers big in podcasting, their distribution channels are extensive today.
Yes.
Right? And they must be having a larger distribution team
They do.
than a video production team.
That's right.
And I think that's what sets them apart.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. So distribution.
I'm like, how do you know? Because they tell me this like off camera. They're like, we know how it is because they also do back on obviously good content and good guests and everything. But a huge part of why they've reached where they have is also because they are making sure that everyone's looking at their content.
Exactly.
By distributing it everywhere. So you'll
Yeah.
see them everywhere for a reason because they've put it over there.
Exactly.
For you to watch. So that is
Exactly.
important in
Yeah,
podcasting.
absolutely.
That's interesting. I knew that you have so much back-end knowledge and also different from what we just hear everybody talk about because they're not as analytic as you are, because you're backing everything off of research and of numbers.
Sure.
So that's the interesting
Thank
part.
you.
And
Thank
I had
you.
such a great time talking to you, Karan. Thank you so much for all the insights.
Thank you. Thanks
and
a lot.
I've made sure that things that you haven't said before, you're saying.
Have come out today.
Yes,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you've done a lot of training and a lot of sessions, and I was like, no, we're not just stick to digital marketing.
Yeah.
We talk about like the other aspects of it also.
This was cool. I have no idea how time has passed. I've enjoyed for me. This was super candid. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks a lot, Aleena. Thank you.
Today's episode is brought to you by Nectar. Now, every business dreams of high customer lifetime value, but in e-commerce, it's a real big challenge. Customers come, they buy once and they never return, leaving you caught in this endless cycle of finding new ones every single day. Very frustrating, right? Nectar solves this by combining rewards, referrals, and reviews into one seamless platform that makes your customers feel genuinely valued. Some of the fastest growing e-commerce brands are now using Nectar to boost retention and create authentic connections with their customers. If you're running an e-commerce business and want to stop leaving money on the table, check out Nectar at nectar.io. And because you're a listener of this podcast, you'll get 20% off on your first month when you sign up.